You ever have one of those nights where nothing makes sense? Like you wake up and it's like the universe decided to play a joke on you? Well, that's what happened to me. I swear, I still don't have an explanation, and honestly, I'm not even sure I want one. So, last night, I wasn't home. I went out with a few friends. We just wanted to chill, nothing crazy. The kind of night where you just let loose and forget about all the stress piling up from work or school or whatever. Anyway, we were out until late, and when I got home, it was almost sunrise. I remember stumbling into the apartment and just crashing into my bed, barely even bothering to take off my shoes. I was out cold the second my head hit the pillow. This is where it gets weird. I woke up to my roommate standing in my doorway, looking at me like I had just murdered someone. His face was pale, like he'd seen a ghost or something. He didn't even say good morning or what's up. He just goes, "Why were you crying last night?" I sat up, rubbing my eyes because, first of all, what? "What are you talking about?" I asked him, my voice all groggy. He stared at me like I was messing with him. "Dude," he said, "I heard you. You were sobbing, like full-on crying in your room. It woke me up." At this point, I'm still half asleep and trying to process what he's saying. "You're tripping," I told him. "I wasn't even home last night." He didn't laugh. He didn't even look confused. He just looked scared. "I know what I heard," he said. "I even knocked on your door to check on you, but you didn't answer." Now I'm starting to feel uneasy. "Maybe it was the neighbors or something," I said, trying to brush it off. "You know how thin these walls are." But he shook his head. "No, man. It was coming from your room. I'm sure of it." I didn't know what to say. What could I say? I wasn't there. I didn't even know what time he was talking about. All I knew was that something didn't add up. I tried to laugh it off. "All right, whatever," I said. "Maybe you were dreaming or something. I don't know." He didn't respond. He just stood there for a second, like he wanted to say something else but didn't know how. Finally, he muttered, "It didn't sound like you, though. The crying, it sounded different." Now, my stomach was doing flips. "Different how?" I asked, even though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. He hesitated, then said, "It sounded deeper, like not your voice, but it was definitely coming from your room." I didn't have a response to that. I just stared at him, trying to figure out if he was pulling some kind of prank on me. But he looked dead serious. The rest of the day went by in a blur. I couldn't stop thinking about what he'd said. I even checked my room to see if anything was out of place. Nothing was. Everything was exactly how I'd left it. Bed unmade, clothes on the floor, empty soda can on the desk. Normal. But that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I kept telling myself it was just my roommate being weird. Maybe he did dream it, or maybe he was messing with me. Either way, I wasn't going to let it get to me. I tried to sleep, but every little sound made me jump. The creak of the apartment settling, the hum of the fridge, even the sound of my own breathing, it all felt louder somehow, like the silence was pressing down on me. Then, just as I was about to drift off, I heard it. A faint, muffled sound, crying. My heart stopped. It was soft at first, like whoever it was didn't want to be heard. But it was there, clear as day, and it was coming from my room. I sat up in bed, my pulse racing. "No way," I whispered to myself. "No freaking way." I looked around the room, trying to find the source of the sound. It was dark, but I could see enough to know there wasn't anyone in there with me. The door was closed, the windows locked. It didn't make sense. The crying got louder. I swear it sounded like it was coming from right next to me, like someone was sitting on the edge of my bed, just out of reach. I did the only thing I could think of. I turned on the light. The second the room lit up, the crying stopped, just like that. Silence. I looked around, my eyes darting to every corner of the room. Nothing. No one. It was just me. I sat there for what felt like forever, my heart pounding in my chest. I wanted to believe it was my imagination, that I was just freaking myself out because of what my roommate had said. but it felt so real, too real. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, staring at the walls, waiting for something else to happen, but nothing did. Eventually the sun came up, and the room felt less heavy. I don't know how else to describe it. When my roommate woke up, I told him what happened. I expected him to laugh or tell me I was overreacting. Instead, he just looked at me and said, "Told you." After that, I couldn't bring myself to sleep in my room anymore. I tried to act normal around my roommate, but I think he could tell I was on edge. That night, instead of heading to my room like I usually would, I grabbed a blanket and pillow and made myself a spot on the couch in the living room. "What are you doing?" my roommate asked, walking by with a bag of chips in his hand. "Just felt like a change of scenery," I said, trying to sound casual. "You know, mix it up." He raised an eyebrow but didn't push it. "Whatever, man," he said, plopping down on the other end of the couch. "Just don't hog the TV." Sleeping in the living room wasn't exactly comfortable, but it was better than the alternative. Out there, with the TV on low and the soft glow of the streetlights coming through the window, it felt safer, less oppressive. I didn't hear any crying that night. I didn't hear anything, really. For the first time in days, I actually managed to fall asleep. But that peace didn't last long. A few nights later, I woke up on the couch to the sound of footsteps. At first, I thought it was my roommate. Maybe he was getting up for a midnight snack or something. But when I opened my eyes, I didn't see anyone. The apartment was dark, except for the faint blue light from the TV screen. The sound of footsteps was still there, though. Slow, like someone was pacing back and forth in the hallway. "Hello?" I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. The footsteps stopped. I held my breath, straining to hear anything else. For a second, everything was dead silent. Then I heard it again, the crying. This time, it wasn't coming from my room. It was closer. It was coming from the hallway. I froze, gripping the blanket like it was some kind of shield. The crying grew louder, more desperate. I wanted to get up, to turn on the lights, to do something. But I couldn't move. I just sat there, staring at the hallway, waiting for something to happen. Then out of the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow. It was short and thin, standing just at the edge of the hallway where the light from the TV didn't quite reach. I couldn't make out any features, but I could feel it watching me. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at that shadow. It felt like hours, but it was probably only a few seconds. Eventually, the crying stopped. The shadow disappeared, and just like that, the apartment was quiet again. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, I told my roommate everything. About the crying, the footsteps, the shadow. I half expected him to laugh or call me crazy, but he didn't. Instead, he just looked at me, his face pale, and said, "I've seen the shadow too." After that, we decided it was just smarter to stay at our family's houses for a while. I mean, it wasn't even a debate. One look at each other, and we both knew we were thinking the same thing. "Maybe we just need a break from this place," my roommate said, trying to sound like he wasn't freaked out, but I could see it in his eyes. He was just as scared as I was. "Yeah," I said, nodding a little too quickly. "Probably a good idea." We didn't even pack much. I grabbed a bag, threw in a couple of changes of clothes, my toothbrush, and whatever else I could think of in a rush. He did the same. We didn't talk much while we were packing, but the tension in the air was thick. Every little sound made us both jump. Finally, we were both ready to leave. We kept glancing over our shoulders, half expecting to see something standing in the hallway again. "Me first," he said, gesturing toward the door with a nervous laugh. "Real brave of you," I shot back. He then ran outside. Once we were outside, we both let out this huge sigh of relief, like we'd been holding our breath the whole time. The streetlights felt like a blessing. I could see his shoulders relax a little too. We locked the door and didn't even look back. I went to my mom's house and he headed to his parents'. It felt kind of silly at first, like we were running away, but honestly, I didn't care. I needed to feel safe, and that apartment wasn't it. Sleeping at my mom's place felt like a return to normalcy. Her guest room was cozy, The kind of place where nothing bad could ever happen. I slept better that night than I had in weeks. No crying, no shadows, just peace. For the first couple of nights, my roommate and I kept in touch over text. "You hear anything weird over there?" he asked me the second night. "Nope. You?" "Nothing. Thank God." A few days turned into a week and then another. Neither of us was in any rush to go back. "You think it's still there?" he asked one night over the phone. "I don't know," I admitted, "but I'm not ready to find out." "Yeah, me neither." So we stayed put, clinging to the safety of our family's homes and trying not to think too hard about what was waiting for us back at the apartment. We actually never went back to that apartment.